Welcome to another My Soul exclusive interview. This time, we're very fortunate to have from Atlanta, Algebra Blessett.
Hi, it's me. Yes.
So I wanted to talk to you about your whole career and how you've ended up here. So tell me, because originally you weren't going actually to be a singer, is that right? You were thinking about being a dancer or something like performing arts? Something like that?
I wanted to be a showgirl. Sequins, feathers, shimmery things, you know, chorus line, you know, everyone in sync, one accord. So because everyone in my family sang, you know, played instruments, songwriters, mostly on the gospel field. So I was just anti that. I was
so you wanted to do something different?
Yeah, I wanted to be different. I wanted to be rebellious, do everything that they didn't do. And in my mind, I was a showgirl.
And so, with your family all playing, they all do it professionally, or was this? I know your mum was in a gospel group, wasn't she? And
it was professional.
Guitar.
It was professional. She's a bass player, songwriter.
Yeah.
They did albums and toured and traveled. And as a baby, you know, I traveled with them. You know, I was on the road from the womb to about maybe 5, 6, 7, years old. And that's just what I knew. That's the lifestyle that I knew for gospel in my family. And
so were your family all in the same group then?
Yeah, they had gospel. It was quartet. They call it quartet gospel.
What was it called?
The Harrison Gospel Singers.
Okay.
So it was my great-grandmother, my cousins, my uncle, my aunt, and my mom. And then she was in a group called the Spiritual Horizons. And so with the likes of Jackson Southerners and the Blind Boys of Alabama, I would be on the road with them all the time, you know, because they consider that family. And the way that they traveled and recorded back then, that's what I was used to seeing. So I grew up in performing arts school, wanted to just, I took dance and theater. And somehow it just kind of...
And you're an only child? You got siblings? Or?
No, I'm the oldest though. I have 2 sisters and a brother.
And have they followed you into music or not?
No, but they all sing and play instruments somehow. So they all do it, but no one is doing it, professionally, I guess.
So no matter how much you fight it, it's in your blood.
Yeah.
You have to.
We all fought it. Yeah. We all fought it. We all fought it.
So how did it turn around for you? When was the turning point when you got into music? And
I guess taking it serious, I was about in the 6th grade, and all of my friends were staying after school. Basketball, track, cheerleading, and I wasn't allowed to wear pants as a child. It was against our religion, if you could say. So I stayed after school for gospel choir. I didn't really want to sing, but that was the only way I could stay after school and hang out with my friends. So 6th grade, the choir teacher's like, yeah, you got the solo, you're fine. And I got finagled into singing again. But that was the only way my mom would let me stay after school because I couldn't. I was tall, but I couldn't wear pants. So.
And so how did that then transition into actually taking it professionally? Because you first met with Kadar, is that right? And you had a single, You Did It For Me?
Yes.
So how did you get from there, from 6th
grade all the way to Kadar?
From gospel, doing some gospel into sort of professional?
From gospel choir, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, high school happens, and that's when I actually met Dallas Austin.
Okay.
So from high school, I met Dallas Austin, really not knowing who he was and what his name meant and how much work he had done. And I was at his studio doing demo work just for fun. I got paid on the side, and he signed some producers. He thought I was signed to a label. He found out I was not signed. He signed me, and then that's when the whole me meeting Monica, TLC, like all the LaFace people. So I was kind of in that circle of artists, amazing artists, and that situation didn't work out, but I did develop the songwriting skill and singing backgrounds for other artists and demoing stuff and for other artists so they could sing it on their records. And actually my voice is on a lot of background albums from like 90s and such. And
yeah, but you worked with loads of amazing artists, haven't you?
Yeah, I started to write for NDRE. That was, of course, a few years after that, after getting out of my situation with Dallas Austin.
Is it Journey to India, the album that you wrote?
Yeah, in Voice to India, her sophomore album, actually, which came out on Motown.
Yeah. And
that's how I met Kedar Massenberg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we go through the Dallas Austin phase, and then you do background work around the city, write a song for another artist. I met Kedar Massenberg. He was at Motown at the time, and I did a deal with him. He left Motown and had his own imprint. We put out an album in 2008 called Purpose, and the single was You Do It For Me. And we traveled a little bit with that. Of course, I came over here before with Joe. And And the ball is steady rolling.
And prior to that, you worked with Anthony Hamilton, Bilal, Monica. Who else?
Being from Atlanta, artists would come to the city, so I would have the opportunity to sing backgrounds with them and then go out on the road with them and do my own songs as well. So Anthony Hamilton, Common, The Roots, Kim, so many different genres. George Duke. I wrote a song for Esperanza Spalding called Black Gold and wrote on Crowned and Kissed.
Which then won a Grammy.
Yeah, Radio
So how
Music
did that
Society.
whole Esperanza Spalding hookup come up?
Esperanza Spalding and I met probably when I was way before Kedar Massenburg, probably when I was with Dallas. I met Robert Glasper in New York.
Oh, wow.
And it was an open mic night. So I was in New York and I went to sing and Robert played and Esperanza was on bass and we all met. I think they knew each other because they lived in New York, but I was the Southern Belle there. So I got a chance to meet a lot of artists before any albums or any songwriter. We were all kind of growing a little bit and spreading out different ways. And then we saw each other again at a function, a record label function. And we looked at each other and I was like, oh, we got to do a record together. It's like, yeah, we do. And it happened.
And the magic happened.
Yeah.
Like Gold it produced.
Yeah, we did that. It was great.
It's a fantastic video as well for that.
Thank you. And I cannot take
like
credit
a block
for
party,
that.
Isn't it?
Yeah, she called. She said, this is going to be the single. You got to come back to New York and we're going to do this video. And I'm like, okay, so what's the concept? Oh, don't worry. I'll send it to you. So that her team and her people completely came up with the concept of that, and it was wonderful. Just the audience, so many different faces and different types of people. It was great.
So back to your album, Purpose.
Yes.
So you did it for me. Other big records were Tug of War and Run and Hide on there.
Yes.
So talk to me a bit about that process, because this is obviously your first album, your debut album.
And
you've been doing a lot of recording before that, obviously working with lots of different people. So this was now your time. So how was that?
It was interesting. Purpose was a melting pot album. All the songs are completely different from the next. And Run and Hide was produced by Kwame Holland. You Do It For Me was totally different from the second single, which was Run and Hide. And that process, we did that video in New York. Actually, the same day that Jay-Z and Beyonce got married. We were literally like right across the street doing a video shoot. And everybody's like, what's going on over there?
You didn't pop in to say hi?
You know, I was, but I was so focused on my video. Didn't have time. And then Tug of War, produced by Brian Michael Cox. So I had the opportunity to go back and revisit these producers on this second album. So I worked with them again. But this time it was more strategic.
And then you had a mixtape, didn't you? So what made you decide to do a mixtape?
Because from 2008 to 2013, 14, that's a long time to not put out an album, but I was still writing for other people and recording as well, and writing for myself. So I just wanted to put something out there to just, you know, kind of say, I'm not done, I'm not going to be a showgirl, I'm going to keep singing. And we put Dessert Before Dinner out. It's about, with a couple of songs on there were from other artists too. We put Forevermore on there. That's on Anthony Davis' album. So we were writing for other people. I was writing for other people and decided to put out some songs that I probably was not going to put on the album, but I still wanted to put some music out.
Another great track on the album, Never Leave, I Believe You, is a great track on there. And Butterflies as well, yeah. Yeah, those were songs that they just kind of came. It's like, I probably won't put them on an album, but if I wanted to, I could. I mean, one of the things that, to me, that demonstrated is the breadth of your work, because you're quite comfortable in sort of R&B, hip-hop R&B area, but also obviously with jazz sort of stuff, particularly the Esperanza Spalding, Butterflies is quite jazzy, and then the quite deep soulful stuff as well. So how do you cover, where's it all come from? How do you cover all those different?
Mood swings.
Okay.
That's the only thing. I'm one of those people that I think you are a combination of everything you've ever heard. So if you are here on this planet in 2014 and saying, oh, that's all me, I came up with that, that's just me. I mean, if you're spiritual, of course, you know, it comes from God, but you hear so many different things and that's inspiration. So whatever mood I'm in, but it's all honest. And it's definitely coming from me.
And how do you, when you're writing, how do you write? What's your writing process?
It depends on where I am. Sometimes I start with the guitar. Sometimes there are lyrics first. Sometimes they're, with Never Leave on the mixtape, I received the track before, when I heard the music, it's like I knew exactly what I was going to write to it. So it depends on what comes first. So I've actually recorded songs that I've written on stage during the process. It came from a freestyle on stage. So it depends.
And you mentioned the guitar. You've been quite late coming to the guitar. Is that right?
Yeah.
Because obviously your mum was doing it for a long time, but you never thought about picking it up before.
No, I didn't want to be musical. I didn't want to do it. I've always had instruments in my room, in my home, but I picked up the guitar out of boredom. It was actually right after I got out of a deal with Dallas Austin that I started to mess around with other instruments, because I always said Dallas is an amazing songwriter, and I was really intrigued by that. So one day, to stay out of trouble, I picked up my guitar.
And then another fantastic track that you did before we come on to the current album was I Know on the Girlfriends soundtrack.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. How did that come about?
That was a guitar song. Actually, it was a guitar song. I probably knew 2 chords during that time, and the strumming came, and then the words came. Kedar heard it, and he was like, you know what? This is not going to go on an album. We're going to throw it on the soundtrack. But he did it without telling me. So I would get emails or see stuff on the internet, Algebra, I Know. And I'm like, no one's supposed to hear that song. But it came off well.
And that brings me to another point, actually, because originally when you first launched, you were Algebra. Now you're Algebra Blessett.
Yeah.
So what caused that change? Why?
Well, when you Google algebra, every tutorial on the planet comes up. And I've always been Algebra Blessett. You know, Algebra is my real name, and Blessett's my surname. So it just made sense. I mean, I should have done it the first time, but I am a person that went from people calling me by my middle name my entire life until I got into grade school, high school, college, that they started to call me by my first name. So I really didn't think about it. I was never thinking about branding for me. But when other people hear my name, they're immediately thinking about the marketing behind it, what branding can we do with it? But that never crossed my mind. So this time it was like, okay, well, if they want to find me, they should really look for, maybe next time it'll be Miss Blessett. I don't know,
And where does the name Algebra come from?
Comes from, I was named after both of my aunts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a family name.
Yeah, my dad's sister, her name is Algebra. And my mom's sister, her name is Felicia. So it's Algebra Felicia. I'm kind of like Algebra too. But my mother loves math, and so does my grandma, my dad's mom. She loves numbers. And I've heard every joke on the planet. There's nothing that I've yet to hear. If I can hear a joke to just make me just, I would give you $20. I don't know.
Okay, I'll try.
Okay.
I'll think of that one. So that brings us on to 2014, Recovery.
Yes.
Fantastic new album. But why the break? 2008 to 2014,
It wasn't planned. In my mind, I was going to put an album out every year, but life happens. I wasn't taking the break. I wasn't taking a break because, like I said, I was writing for other people, being featured on different songs with other artists and cultivating their albums as well. And, of course, the business side. So you go from different labels to figuring out how you're going to present the album. Some people's concern is, what is the image going to be? It's like, just however I wake up and what I want to do, that's how I want to go. So the business, the creativity, but it was never a stifling point. You may get stifled in the writing process sometimes, but the music was continuously. And I was actually still touring within those years, still doing shows.
And so with the new album, obviously, Nobody But You, huge track. So talk to me about that track.
Nobody But You, that's the reiteration of the love affair. The insecure guy. Oh, baby, do you love me? And it's like, yeah, I don't want anyone else
Reassurance.
but you. Reassurance, absolutely. And also, I'm an aunt now. And I chose the song because my 3-year-old niece at the time, I played it, just listening to it after I just recorded the chorus. I hadn't written the verses yet. And after the 3rd time listening to it, she remembered it. And she said, Auntie, play it again. She listened to it and she goes, is that song about me? So I was like, yeah. So the verses was a combination of me loving my niece and my 2 nephews and a situation that I was in.
And then you've got a duet with Q Parker on there as well, Struggle.
Yeah.
It's a great track.
Thank you. That strategically picked him too because he's a married man, and the song is so true to life, to what so many people go through once you're married. This long lost love, And he was like, great. And I love his voice. I've known him since my Dallas Austin days, since before he was in 112. So it's kind of one of those things you resort back to the people that you know love music as well. And also I have a song with Kelly Price on her new album. So yeah, different things, you know, just life stories are very, very important to me.
And then there's Paper Heart.
Yeah.
Another great song.
I like that song. Paper Heart. That's that, you know, I love you, I love you, I love you, but you do me so wrong, you do me so wrong. I guess I'm just your paper heart. Just ball me up, throw me away. Oh, but if you love me again, I'll be right here. You can come and get me. Song. Yeah.
And then my personal favorite is Mystery. Tell me about Mystery.
Mystery. I did that song with Eric Robeson. Eric and I have a lot of conversations. We've probably written more songs in our conversations than we've recorded. Oh, wow. And Mystery was, we had a long conversation about the beginning of the love affair, the beginning of what happens when you meet someone. I have a song on my album called Danger Zone, which is the pre of Mystery. So that was definitely an Eric Robeson and Algebra conversation.
And one other thing I've got to talk about is there's another side to Algebra. There's your acrobatics and stuff. So you haven't really left the performance stuff behind. No. It still creeps back. And I know you're kind of a bit of an adrenaline junkie and you like doing stuff like that. So tell me about that side of Algebra.
Aerials, you know, the climbing of the silks of the fabric and flipping and just being graceful. I love flying. I'll tell you something, per learning that, I found myself being stifled in some areas, but when I started to do it, the key word that always came up was flexibility. So I became very flexible, of course, in my body, you know, but even in my spirituality and my singing and my voice. I'm one of those people that I need to juggle things. When it's time to do the album, I need to dive into something else as well. So that started from a gift certificate and a Groupon, and I never let it go. And I love doing it. It requires a lot of strength, a lot of courage. You face a lot of fears doing it. And you find yourself, you don't get tired of it. You learn, you push your body as much because I'm not an athlete. Don't take me to a gym. I don't want to do that. But you find yourself like your body changes, your mind changes. So I love it, And it's beautiful too. And
you were saying earlier as well that you'd maybe like to come and live in London or spend part of the year in London. Yeah. So what's the attraction of London to you?
It feels like home. It feels like a little bit of Philadelphia, a little bit of New York, a little bit of Atlanta, Georgia. Not too many people, not too little people. I told you earlier it makes me want to do film. It just embodies entertainment to me. And people say that all the time when they come over here from the U.S., but I can exchange apartments with somebody. You can go live at my place. I live at yours, about 6 months.
There you go, there's an offer.
Yeah, you can do that.
So tell me, what does the future hold for Algebra? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do?
I'm full entertainment, like full everything. No stumbling blocks at all. You know, the possibilities are infinite. So definitely another album, more writing, more learning, sponge, soaking it up, traveling more, definitely coming to the United Kingdom more, if you'll have me, and just soaking it up. That's what I want to do.
Okay, great. Well, thanks very much for coming down.
You're so welcome.
I don't want nobody but you.